Today, we're going to talk about one of hockey's most beloved and, yeah, most tragic franchises, the original Winnipeg Jets. It is a story of rebel championships, crushing obstacles, and a legacy that, even today, is still kind of looking for a home. I mean, these guys were a powerhouse. They were built on this incredible European talent and just raw superstar power. They won championships, they completely captured the heart of a city, and then, poof, in 1996, they just vanished from the NHL. Gone. So, how did it all go so wrong? This isn't just a simple story about a team moving. It's really a story about how economics and league structure and just some unbelievably bad luck all conspired to basically erase a dynasty. So let's get into it. All right, so to start, we have to go back to the 1970s. And we're not even starting in the NHL. We're starting in the upstart World Hockey Association. The WHA was this rebel league, and let me tell you, the Jets were its biggest, brightest stars. And when I say they were stars, I mean they were absolutely dominant. Get this, 3 championships in the league's 7 seasons. The Jets weren't just playing in the WHA, they were pretty much running the place. And their rise was super fast. In '72, they made this huge splash, signing the legendary Bobby Hull. That move alone gave the entire league instant credibility. By '76, they were champions. In '78, they even beat the legendary Soviet national team. And to top it all off, in '79, they won their last title against a rookie named Wayne Gretzky. Yeah, not a bad run at all. You know, their secret weapon was that they were just smarter than everyone else. The Jets were true pioneers. They were the first North American team to really go all in on scouting European talent. This led to the creation of the famous hotline, with Swedish stars Anders Hedberg and Ulf Nilsson playing alongside Bobby Hull. This was a game changer, and it was the foundation of their entire dynasty. So in 1979, the WHA folds and 4 of its teams, including our Jets, get absorbed into the NHL. Now you'd think this would be the triumphant climax of the story, right? Well, it was actually the beginning of the end. And just look at this, it's absolutely brutal. They go from being the WHA champions in 1979 to a team with only 9 wins just 2 seasons later. 9. So what on earth happened? How does a champion fall that far, that fast? Well, the problem had a name, the 1979 expansion draft. Basically, as their ticket into the league, the established NHL teams were allowed to just come in and raid the new team's rosters. It was a slaughter. The Jets were totally gutted, losing 3 of their top 6 scores. Their championship core was literally dismantled before they even played one single NHL game. So after that just disastrous start, the Jets spent the entire 1980s clawing their way back to respectability, only to run smack into one of the greatest dynasties in the history of sports. Now, those terrible first seasons did have one massive silver lining. They got the #1 draft pick in 1981, and they used it to pick Dale Hawerchuk, a superstar who instantly became the heart and soul of the franchise and single-handedly led them back to the playoffs. But here's the cruel twist. The playoff format back then was brutal. It locked them into a division with both the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers, 2 of the best teams in the entire league. So to go anywhere, to make any real noise, they had to somehow get through this dynastic wall. And the result was, well, you can see it. It's just brutal. Between '83 and '90, the Jets played the Oilers 6 times in the playoffs, and they won a grand total of 0 series. The Oilers, by the way, won the Stanley Cup 5 of those times. It was like a recurring nightmare for the Jets and their fans. Okay, so let's jump ahead to the early 1990s. The Oilers dynasty is finally starting to fade. It really seems like the Jets' window might finally be open. But off the ice, a completely different kind of storm was brewing, and it was one that would ultimately blow the team right out of town. It really wasn't just one thing. It was this perfect storm of financial disasters all hitting at once. You had the Canadian dollar weakening, but players are all paid in US dollars. At the same time, free agency is making those salaries just skyrocket. Their arena was old, it didn't have luxury suites, so they couldn't generate new revenue. And to cap it all off, they were the smallest market in the entire league. It just wasn't sustainable. But even in the middle of all that chaos, they still had these moments of just pure on-ice magic, like Teemu Selan's unbelievable 76-goal rookie season. It's a record that still stands today. But honestly, it was kind of like a beautiful sunset, you know? Just this final, brilliant flash of light before everything went dark. At the end of the day, the financial pressure was just way too much. The fans, they tried. A grassroots effort to save the team couldn't raise enough money, and in 1996, the sale was finalized. The Jets played their last game in Winnipeg and moved to the desert to become the Phoenix Coyotes. Now, you might think the story ends there. Team leaves, city's heartbroken, the end. But the departure of the Jets created one of the most complicated, frankly, confusing legacies in all of sports. This is where it gets weird. See, hockey did come back to Winnipeg. In 2011, the Atlanta Thrashers moved there. But here's the crazy twist. The new Winnipeg Jets are, on paper, the old Atlanta Thrashers. All of the original Jets history, the championships, Bobby Hull's records, Dale Hawerchuk's number, all of that stayed with the franchise that moved to Arizona. And this timeline just shows you how tangled this whole thing has become. So the original team goes to Phoenix in '96. A completely different team arrives in 2011 and takes the name. And now, in 2024, that original franchise, the Coyotes, has suspended operations. Its players are in Utah. So the original Jets history, it's now attached to an inactive franchise. It's like a ghost in the NHL's machine. Which brings us right here to this final, nagging question. With the original team now officially dormant, its entire legacy, all those championships, all those legends, it's all just sitting in limbo. For a city and a fan base that love that team so deeply, it's a history they desperately want back. So will the story of the Golden Jet, of Dale Hawerchuk, of those Avco Cups, will it ever truly return to Winnipeg? As of right now, absolutely nobody knows.